Thank you everybody for joining us. Looks like we've got some people in the room already. So a quick rundown on this. If you're joining us via Zoom, there's a Q&A box in the dialogue, the Zoom dialogue, and that's where you can ask questions. We'll go over questions towards the end of the presentations. Just a reminder, the first half of this, the first 30 minutes or so will be, I'll be presenting mainly on just some ideas around pivoting, some side hustles that you can do, and then maybe some do-it-yourself marketing things that you can be working on in this downtime. And then the second half will be with Christopher Mallory of Top to Bottom Business Solutions. He'll be covering a lot of questions around the grants and the loan programs that are available to entrepreneurs. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A dialogue in Zoom. Otherwise, we'll look for questions in the Facebook Live application. And so let me go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started here. Give me just a moment to get going. All right, so for everybody who doesn't know me, my name is Derek Schmidt. A brief background on me: 2011, started a digital marketing agency, web development. Over the years, we've had the privilege of working with various clients in different industries. So when Chris and I were kind of brainstorming on putting something like this together, I really wanted to just kind of speak on some of the ideas that we were going over with some of our clients, again, regarding pivoting, side hustles, and just some do-it-yourself marketing tips. So the highlights you'll get from this, I really wanted just to create a resource for fellow business owners, really to spark some conversations and engagement around these topics. I chose this picture of Homer Simpson pulling out his hair because I'm sure that's what many of us feel like right now. But I assure you that this is temporary, and when we come out of this, we're going to come out much stronger as individuals and as businesses. And so, again, a breakdown of what you're going to learn in my presentation, different ideas you can use to pivot, some side hustles that you can be doing for side income, and then the do-it-yourself marketing tips that you can be doing in your downtime. And so I broke this down by a few examples of different industries. Some of these have already been covered in the past. Some of these may be relatively new. It's really, again, just to get that conversation going. But some examples around things you can do if you're a restaurant owner for your business model. And this may or may not be something you decide to do and take on permanently to change your business model. But if you haven't already, you can start delivering, again, assuming that you didn't before. But you can also create some sort of like a membership site. There are free resources where you can create membership websites or sign up for some sort of membership plan. And what you can do with that is sell some cooking classes or sell videos and recipes on how to create your most popular dishes. Or you can just decide to post them for free and let people share it. You can earn ad revenue from YouTube, Facebook, if you decide to share it for free. And once you hit their criteria for earning revenue from videos. But I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a restaurant and I've just loved a dish that I was eating, and I wish that I knew how to make it at home. So that's an example of something you can do for, growing your community or just earning some side income. Think about selling some memberships around recipes or videos. You could also start flipping some of your inventory. I know because I've got restaurant experience that you can get some of your inventory really, really cheap from your vendors. It may or may not make sense to you if you turn around and sell that to people. So, for example, a deli can sell sliced meats, cheeses, and breads. A pizza shop can sell dough or some of their bulk cheeses, take and bake pizzas, or you can consider putting together little cook-at-home kits. And again, if you play into the last bullet point here, that could be like a easy-to-follow video and recipe. So some take-at-home kits, I think people are really and for the better, they're really starting to spend a lot of time with their family and their kids, and they're looking for activities and things to do. So those are just a few different ideas for the restaurant industry that you can do to try to make some side income or just kind of pivot your business model in general. And so the next one here, Creative services, I'm pulling on my own experience here, but you can allow people to send you their materials. So if you're a photographer, they can send you their photos that they're taking at home, and you can offer professional editing services to them. If you're a videographer, same thing. You can really get creative with this. You can also offer paid training courses and teach people how to do what you do. You don't have to start this from scratch. You can do something on udemy.com, which is an e-learning platform. They already have a network of people who are learning these new skills and new trades. It's really just you taking the time to put together the materials, and they'll do the marketing for you. Or you can just take it all in-house, and you can create some really quick website where you can create those different packages for teaching people how to do what you do. And then this one often goes forgotten, but if you have done work for a client in the past and they didn't accept your logo, for example, you can sell off those logos. Obviously, you change the business name and change certain things about it, so it's not branded to one specific company, but sell off those websites that didn't get approved, sell off those logos, or sell those photographs that people didn't purchase and sell them to stock websites like iStock or PhotoDune or 2020. So you've got a lot of different options regarding what you can do if you're in the creative services industry. And then some more examples of pivots. Again, start selling things online. Maybe you've got some merch. You know, we've got t-shirts. We could sell those online, hats. You can sell off some of your inventory, assuming that when all this blows over, you can get that back, but just a way to kind of flip things. Offer care packages of essential items that households may need. So if you've got access, especially access to a vendor who's supplying you with things like antibacterial soap or hand sanitizers, those are some quick wins that you can do, and you can put together these care packages. Whether you decide to charge people for that or not, that's entirely up to you. You can create activities or packages for kids and families to do. You can grocery shop or do supply runs or run errands, especially for the elderly. You can teach online classes either for free or for paid, or you can get paid via the ad revenue on that. If you sell alcohol, maybe consider a delivery service. I'm not sure about the legal, issues surrounding whether or not you can deliver alcohol. But again, just to kind of get your brain going in the right direction. And then you can also do online paid consultations or training. So maybe you're working with a client who could benefit from your services. You can still take that online, or you're teaching somebody who's in your industry how to do what you do, and maybe they're a little bit further behind you. So these are some free or some paid ideas just to kind of get your brain working in that direction. In my opinion, based on where I am in this slide right now, there are a lot of moves you can make on where you're at right now. And as it was said to me, and I think it was a great example, you're either going to come out of this the hero or the villain, so-and-so. So think about ways that you can help and give back in your community. And ultimately, when this blows over, I mean, your branding, your awareness, everything, you're going to be so much stronger. So it's up to you really what you decide if you want to do the paid or the free. But as long as you're just getting out there and getting active in your community, you're still doing your marketing. That's the most grassroots version of guerrilla marketing, where you're just getting people to talk about how great you are and how great your business is. So some things to consider there. Side hustles to make extra income. And yes, this is Fat Joe, Little Wayne throwing money up in the air. Hopefully we're all can be at that stage one day where we just throw money up into the air. But I put together some ideas. There's a really great podcast I'd suggest you subscribe to or start listening to. It's called Side Hustle. I listen to it on Spotify. I'm sure it's available on all the others. It's Side Hustle Nation. And that is a really great place to get some creative ideas for little side hustles that you can do. I've been a long time listener, and some of these topics come from that podcast. So if you have a blog already and it's generating a decent amount of traffic, why don't you consider selling ads on your blog? If you don't want to have ads on your whole website, you can make it to where it's just specific to your blog posts. That's an easy way to earn some ad revenue from Google or other ad servicing providers. Find some items around the house or locally. If you're able to travel based on where you're at, try going to thrift shops or yard sales. and flip them on eBay. So I've got a friend with personal experience with this, and they've made a really good living on eBay. I'll tell you, my 14-year-old son runs circles around me, and he'll buy things or get things handed down to him, and he'll flip them on eBay. So there's a really good side hustle to be made there. And I know it's cliche because everybody's talking about flipping things on eBay, but there's proof in it. And if it's not eBay, maybe consider Facebook Marketplace or something. As I mentioned previously, you can run errands for elderly neighbors. You can do pet sitting or dog walking, offer landscaping to help neighbors or elderly. You can create a profile on something like Upwork and consider selling your services to other businesses, such as writing industry-specific content. So maybe it's Upwork, or maybe it's something like Fiverr. There's some other platforms that are very similar to those, but consider what you're good at and start doing those freelance services on those platforms. Easy, quick way to earn some money. I've not had any personal experience with this, but from what I understand, it's really easy to write a book and then sell it and distribute it online. So your Amazon Kindles, your Amazon, it's supposedly really easy to kind of break into that. And I think the Side Hustle Nation actually has a podcast specific around writing a book and getting it online. You can coach other entrepreneurs in your industry based on your experience. There's a great website for that called clarity.fm. It's specifically geared towards startups and entrepreneurs who are looking for consultants, again, that are very industry specific. Create a gig on Fiverr with something you can do quickly and easily. Fiverr is a platform where most people come and they can buy services, purchase services. There's a clear set of deliverables, and generally they're $5. They generally don't go any more than $100, but that's a quick way that you can do some things, especially if you find something that you're really good and efficient at, like writing, or for our example, maybe we're doing an audit of a website, or we need to do an SEO audit. Those are really quick things that can be income producing revenue streams for us because it's so quick and scalable because it's easy to do. If you have disposable income, you can consider doing peer-to-peer lending, where you lend businesses or people money in exchange for an interest rate that's comparable to a bank. So again, this is kind of, you got to look up your laws in your state, but this may be a really good time to do the peer-to-peer lending because there are a lot of businesses and a lot of people who may be looking for help right now. And maybe they don't qualify for the EIDL or the PPP loan, which Chris will go over later. And then you can also offer virtual assistant services. So many people need virtual assistants. This can be anything from just managing email, doing some market research for somebody, posting on social media. I mean, the sky's the limit. And there's so many virtual assistants that can specialize in one or multiple things. It's an easy way to bring in revenue, especially if you already have a network of people, or maybe you have a network of business owners that are thriving right now and they need some assistance. You can offer virtual assistant services to them. So these are just some ideas on ways to earn some side money. Again, if you're not listening to Side Hustle Nation, I really recommend listening to that podcast. In terms of the pivoting slides that I've covered previously, there's a really great thread on Reddit right now that's discussing how different businesses have adapted to the current times and how they've pivoted their business. And so I'll leave you with some quick do-it-yourself marketing tips, mainly just drawn from my background. These are things that you can do. And if you've got free time, as Jim Carrey has right here, you can start implementing some of these things so that when you come out of this, you're just much stronger. And so to get started, the most obvious one, in my opinion, is working your Google My Business page. So if you don't know what Google My Business is, when you do a Google search and a company shows up in the map with those little pin drops in it, and you click on that, that's what pulls up is their Google My Business listing. And so some easy wins you can do here, you can claim your Google My Business profile if you haven't already. And you'll see at the bottom when you search for your business, if it says claim now or are you the owner, you want to click on that and you want to follow the prompts so that you can claim that business profile. Start posting updates to your Google My Business. It can be photos, it can be posts, it can be specials that you're running. But by staying active on Google My Business, you will improve your ranking when people are searching for something that is specific to your industry, just by being active on Google My Business. You can ask some of your customers to submit a review for you. It's a way that they can help you right now that requires no financial commitment to you. Everybody's got some downtime, and it's a great time to be asking some of your customers for reviews. And this can also help with your listing on Google My Business. And then make sure your name, address, phone number is accurate, and then that it's consistent across the web. So what I mean by that, just do a quick Google search for your business name and look up some of the directory listings like Yellow Pages, Yelp, Google My Business, Facebook, and make sure that your name, address, phone number, that it's all consistent across the board, capitals and everything. Those are some easy wins you can do with your Google My Business listing. This is my favorite slide. I just saw this post come across Facebook very recently, but create engaging content. A little humor will go a long way with breaking out someone's social media feed right now. And so my wife shared this, but this post has 5 million views. And it's simple. It's picking out your quarantine character for the day. And it's just a woman who is kind of mocking, for any gamers out there, kind of mocking that stage where you're picking your character out. And I think it's hilarious. But create content on your social media that will encourage engagement, comments, and shares. It's something so simple, but it has so much potential for you as far as increasing your reach. And people will appreciate the breakup to where it's not all serious, and you can kind of add in a little humor there. So if you got time, definitely try doing some blogging. An easy way to do this and find out like what people are searching for is you can go to Google and type in something like restaurants in Wilmington, NC. And if you scroll down a little bit, probably halfway through the page, you'll see where Google has a section called People Also Search For. And this will help you understand what people are actually searching for. If you've got the capacity or free time, start writing blog posts around what people are searching for. This is a great place to find like what kinds of questions people are asking. So that, again, once you come out of this, you're starting to rank for those keywords and those topics that people are already searching for. It's a really easy win, and you don't need any fancy bells and whistles. At the end of the day, content is king. And that's not a cliche, but content, if you just write a really valuable, great, informative post, you'll see great ranking in Google from that. Start a podcast. If you've never considered doing it, it's easier than you think to start a podcast. Most podcast distribution channels make it easy for you to send your podcast to them. So Apple, Spotify, some of the other ones. It's really easy to record a podcast. It's something that I personally, it's on my goals to do this year. But what you can do with that is if you decide to start a podcast, you can repurpose that content into things like social media posts, right? You can pull quotes out from that podcast. You can transcribe the audio from the podcast into a new blog post. And now you just got a new blog post out of it. If you record them with video, now you've also got video content that you can use and you can share on these different channels. So a podcast, it just really makes you, in my opinion, a specialist in your field. And as you grow, you can then turn that into advertising revenue. People will pay you to advertise on your podcast if you decide to go that direction. And one of the last few things I wanted to go over before opening it up for questions, record some videos. So videos go a long way. It said that marketers who use video, they've grown their revenue by 49% faster than non-video users. People just relate to video. We're aesthetic creatures. We can appreciate design. We like to be visually driven. So instead of a website where all the information, everything is just kind of stagnant and doesn't change, you've got video, which helps capture everything from your personality, your expertise, everything. So social video generates 12 times more shares than text and images combined. Views on branded video content increased by 258% on Facebook and 99% on YouTube. And that's a few years old. That's back in June 2017. So just a quick reminder again, if you're using video, you can repurpose that blog post, quotes, social media posts, and more. Videos can be things like how-tos, industry insights. You can start putting together and implementing in your process like a welcome video for new customers or new clients, thank you videos. Maybe that's where you come in and you ask for the reviews. So there's a lot of ways you can expand that. And that's pretty much the end of my presentation. I wanted to keep it short and sweet and leave the rest for questions. If you have any questions or comments or concerns or anything, you want to talk smack, here's my contact information. You can do all that there. And now I'm going to look at the questions and see what we've got going. So, and let me also pull up social media and see if we've got any questions coming in through there. So what are some ways that, what are some questions anybody may have? I think everybody came for the PPP loan and the EIDL loan. All right. Well, if there are no further questions here, then I will open the floor up to Chris. And if you guys have any questions for me, you can drop them in that Q&A box or drop them into one of the live streams. And so, Chris, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Derek. First of all, thank you, Derek, for helping getting our Facebook Live or Facebook group up and running and assisting through all this process. If anybody has any questions throughout my section of this, for either myself or Derek, we'll do our best to answer them at the end, and we'll reach out to anybody that individually that we can't get to. My name is Christopher Mallory. I'm with Top to Bottom Business Solutions, and I've been keeping up with all of the laws and rules and changes that have been coming through on specifically both of these two loans. And I prepared a little slideshow that I'm also going to share. And here we go. All right. So there are essentially two main loans available. There are quite a few options out there for small business owners and people in general. A few of them I have listed here. Stimulus checks, which are obviously separate. The two that we're going to talk about today are the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, which is the EIDL, and the Paycheck Protection Program loan, PPPL. They also are offering SBA loan forbearance on any current SBA loans that you may have. They've opened up increased access to your retirement accounts. Unemployment has been funded, additional funding from the federal government, and they've opened up paid sick leave and the FMLA to cover a lot of the things that are happening with the virus. The two that we're going to focus on specifically today will be the Economic Injury Disaster Loan and the Paycheck Protection Loan. But before I go too far into either of these, there is, I can't tell you enough that the information is very fluid and changing all the time. A lot of the things, specifically with the PPPL, a lot of things that we believed on Friday 2 weeks ago, really it would be a week ago, 2 weeks ago Friday now, when the bill was passed through the Senate, House, and the President signed it, are not quite the same as the information that we have now. Part of that has been complicated by the fact that the SBA is writing the rules, and the banks are the ones handling it. So you have thousands of banks across the country that are trying to get on board with this. So with that being said, a little bit of basic information about the EIDL loan. This loan has been used, or a form of it has been used in the past, but on a much smaller scale. On average, the SBA hands out about 60,000 loans a year, and they have multiple thousands, more of that already applied for on the EIDL loan. This loan is designed for businesses with less than 500 employees to include sole proprietors, independent contractors, and private nonprofits. The loan is designed to be used for payroll, fixed debts, accounts payable, and other expenses that cannot be paid due to the impact of the disaster. They have added a $10,000 advance to the loan. If you applied for the loan originally and it did not have this option, they are asking that you go back and apply for it once again and click the $10,000 advance. It will not cause an issue if you have a duplicate application. If the money for that, if that 10K is used appropriately for the cost above, they will forgive the loan or forgive that $10,000 advance, and no payments will be required for 12 months after you receive the loan. The only way to apply for this loan, unlike the PPPL, is you have to go through the SBA.gov website and make sure you save the code given at the end of the application. That, per my understanding, is the only way that you can check to see if it's the process, how it's progressing. The next is the one that we're going to spend the most time on, and this is the PPPL, Paycheck Protection Program loan. This loan is also designed for businesses with less than 500 employees, except in very specific and certain circumstances. And quite frankly, if I spent all the time going through every single different circumstance that they've allotted for, this would take 4 or 5 hours probably. So if anybody has specific questions, again, throughout this that are more specific than the information I'm sharing, please ask away. The loan, like I said, it's designed for businesses with less than 500 employees. It is to include sole proprietors, independent contractors, self-employed, and private nonprofits. Most of the regular small businesses were able to start applying for the loan on last Friday, if the banks were ready, which has been a point of contention. And this week, on the 10th, this Friday, the self-employed and independent contractors will have access to apply for the loans as well. This loan is designed to cover payroll, including benefits, mortgage interest, rent, and utilities. There are no payments for the first 6 months of once you get the loan, and you have 2 years to pay the loan back. As you can see, I put April 10th. Like I said, contractors and self-employed will be open to apply. Current guidance says that you should try to work with your own bank first. Obviously, there's been a lot of changes to this. Originally, you were going to be able to go through any bank. Then the bank started to get a hold of the information and made it almost a requirement that you go through a bank that you have an account with. I've seen, 10 or 15 or 20 different banks based on the business that the clients that we work with and the information they're requesting. The information the banks are asking for is different from bank to bank. From the payroll reports that we have to turn in to the information they're asking and calculating the loan. If that does not work, I've advised a few of our clients and non-clients, if your bank, like for instance, Wells Fargo, who has closed loan applications at this point, I guess they have a $10 billion cap, and they feel like the applications that they have already will exceed or meet that $10 billion cap for loans they'll process. So they have actually turned off loan applications at this point. All I can say is if you're in that position, I would go to the SBA.gov website that I have linked at the end of this document, and we will post these slideshows on the Facebook group. Go to the SBA.gov website go down, get the list of approved financial institutions, and start reaching out to some of the small to medium-sized banks, first in your area and then anywhere. There are no restrictions. There are no written restrictions about getting loans with banks in other parts of the country. At this point, I think it's important just to try to get the loan applied for. A couple of things that make this loan a little easier to get. They are not requiring any personal guarantee or collateral in order to get the loan. The loans are designed to be very efficient and quick to process. And due to the fact they're done by the banks directly, it is different with every bank. Let's see. Oops. A lot of the banks are asking for different information, but some of the things that we've seen have been obviously 941s or 944s, depending on your business type. You can calculate the loan in 3 different ways. You can either calculate it as a seasonal business, landscaping companies, specifically to the coastal area, businesses that do 40, 50, 60, 100% more in volume in the spring or summer months, or the same can be said for businesses that do heavier business in the winter. You can calculate your PPPL loan based on seasonal business. You can calculate it as a new business if you don't have payroll records for last year, and you can apply as a current regular business. Some of the different reports that we've had to provide for our clients specifically, 941s, 944s, articles of incorporation, gross payroll reports month by month, some for all of 2019, some for the period ending March 31st of this year through a year last year. And obviously most 941s are not out yet for the first quarter. So we have been providing for our clients the current 941s that are about to be filed with the government. They're due to be filed by the end of April. So we have sent those over, and in a couple of cases, those have been acceptable by the banks. 1099 workers, I've gotten a lot of questions about 1099 workers. 1099 workers should not be included in the calculation for the PPPL loan by a small business, due to the fact that these same workers on Friday of this week will be able to apply for the loan on their own as an independent contractor. The basis for another thing that I've gotten lots of questions about is the basis for how to calculate the amount that you can apply for. So whatever your bank requires you, whatever reports your bank requires you, if they require just 2019's payroll records, or if they just want the 3 months comparative to this time last year, or if they want payroll records from the last 6 months, whatever spectrum they're asking for, you're going to have to provide proof for how you came up with the number. So if you take let's just say your bank is asking you for your last 6 months of payroll records and your last 2 941s, you will take the gross amount of payroll that you pay your employees. That includes state and federal withholding. That's employee paid. And you will get a sum for all of the last 6 months. You'll divide it by 6, and you'll multiply it by 2.5. That will give you the amount that you're going to go for the loan. You do not include you do not include the employer portion of federal taxes that the employer pays above the gross payroll. The next big group of questions that I get is about the PPPL forgiveness. This is a little bit more complicated. because I think the Treasury Department and SBA wanted first to get money into people's into the small businesses' pockets, and it's happening. People, as of yesterday, the SBA had approved over $10 billion in loans that have been funded or getting funded very soon. So the money is flowing. The next thing they're going to have to pivot to is how to handle the forgiveness. And here's some things that I can tell you about how the forgiveness is going to be calculated. The first question anybody ever asks is if I take this PPPL money and then I can't get my employees back, what am I supposed to do? And those are legitimate worries. So here's some notes about the forgiveness that I do know. Up to 100% of the loan can be forgiven if used for mortgage interest, rent, utilities, and payroll costs. The request for loan forgiveness will be done through the lending institution that you get your loan through. So my strong assumption is that following all of the information that's come out about actually getting money out, the next thing that's going to come after that is going to be the SBA's requirements for how to get loan forgiveness. I can't stress to you enough that keeping fantastic records over these next 3 months, including the month that just ended, are going to be very important when the bank asks you for proof that you spent the money on the correct things. Next, the number of staff. Your loan forgiveness will be reduced if you decrease your full-time FTE, full-time equivalent, or full-time employee headcount. It's based on your level of payroll, which is the next line. Your loan forgiveness will also be reduced if you decrease salaries and wages by more than 25% for any employee not making $100K annually. A lot of people ask about rehiring. Part of the stipulation on this loan is that you keep your employees if you're still paying them, or you bring them back from unemployment. You will have until June 30th, 2020 to restore your full-time employment and salary levels for any changes made current. We will probably schedule another one of these video calls just to go over the forgiveness as we get more guidance. I think that's what's given people, other than not being able to get the money from their bank, this is the thing that stresses people out the most. So what's next? First off, there's only $350 billion, or a little bit less than that, available to small business owners on this pass. They knew going into it that $350 billion was going to help less than 50% of small businesses, and a lot of us are obviously dealing with issues with the bank trying to get money. All I can say is that they have said over and over and over again that if the money runs out, they will apply for more funding. And I can only imagine if the virus continues on longer than the current dates of the program, they will have to do something to not lose a lot of small businesses. The next would be, make sure you stick to real sources and keep plugged into the resources that are available to you. I've put some at the end of this slideshow, and I'll go over those in a few. Make sure you're very diligent in filling out your paperwork for these loans. You are the responsible party, and should there be an error in your calculation, you'll be the one that has to pay for it. I was reading a Q&A with the United States Treasury. It's right on their website this morning, and it actually mentioned this a couple of times throughout, that if you calculate it wrong, the banks are not required, because of the fact they're trying to move these loans quickly, they are required to basically do a good faith review of the documents and the information you've provided. If you have miscalculated information and put out, made an error in the calculation, it is not going to be the bank's responsibility to catch those errors. So have somebody double check them, have your accountant double check them with you, have your payroll provider double check them with you, have your business partner double check the numbers. Make sure you're on the same page. We will continue. The Facebook group has really been growing very well, and we're very excited for that. Most all the information that's been shared in there is firsthand experience throughout this process. We will continue to answer and respond and post relevant topics and subjects throughout this process and the months to come. There is already talk of another bill, of a fourth stimulus bill, and there's varying levels of information provided for it at this point. So I've chose not to go into that. If you have any questions, you feel free to contact me directly. I've spent most of my time over the last 2 weeks speaking to small business owners, both clients and non-clients, just trying to advise them on the best path. You know, there are three big things here for employees: unemployment, the EIDL loan, and the PPP loan. All are either fully or partly designed to help keep employees getting paid. You can't, you know, you obviously are trying not to make a misstep, but I'm more than happy to help anybody I possibly can. Next up, this is just a visual. This is just a visual that I kind of recap most of this. There are a little bit more specifics on here about how much you can get in the loan. There's a little more information about the EIDL on here, about the interest rates that are allowed. So feel free to, we're gonna post this on the Facebook group once this call is over, and feel free to review this a little more in depth. All right, so here's some links and resources that I've personally been using through all of this. The first one is, and they're in no particular order, I just have them on here. The first one is the National Federation of Independent Businesses. A lot of small business owners are members of the NFIB. They are constantly putting out good information about the loan. They've been doing some legal webinars, webinars that are, you know, to explain kind of how all this accounting and stuff works from a legal standpoint, and they've been doing them weekly. They have one on Friday of this week, and they've been fantastic. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce, obviously, we tried to create this group for the entire country, not just for a specific region or area. So while I have been looking at regional chamber websites, depending on the states and my specific client needs, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has been doing 1 or 2 web calls a week, and have really passed out fantastic information, a lot of Q&A information on their website. The Small Business Administration, obviously that's the SBA. They are directing, or, you know, I believe they're going to kind of be the directive arm of this forgiveness program that's coming for these loans. They have obviously been pumping out information quite a bit. SCORE, so if anybody's not familiar with SCORE is like a group of mentors that have been in business for a really long time. It's basically a nonprofit. They don't charge for their time to mentor. I have worked with them, been working with them for a while, and they have been absolutely fantastic in helping me kind of, you know, dig through the rubbish of all the information that's out there. And they offer, you know, free counseling and mentoring sessions to small business owners. So if you need that in your business, please click that link. They're regional. They're all over the country. They're an extension, I believe, of the SBA and the federal government. And they are people who are just people who've been in business for a long time and volunteering their time to assist small business owners. The next one, when I was watching the bill come through the Senate first and then over to the House, the Senate and the House have small business committee websites that post information and do even more Q&As with people that are asking questions and having issues with the loans. So another fantastic. And then the last one is, you know, probably the main source of the information, and that's the U.S. Treasury Department. They are constantly updating and putting information out. They kind of guide the banks and the SBA on the rules and regulations as they see it from the bill that's passed. And that is all I have. So if anybody has any questions, please post them in the book up here, or in the Q&A thing. And I have a question. Hold on one second. Let me take a read it.
And I don't know if everybody can see the question, Chris. You might want to read it aloud.
Yeah, hold on one second. What if you are able to make an independent contractor a full-time employee with money from taking someone from part-time to full-time? We are a 3-person entity and we were ramping up status of 2 of these employees and had to stop that. So this is a challenging question. I think if they were an independent contractor during most of the time of 2019, or whenever your bank is going to ask you for a calculation, then they would need to file as an independent contractor on their own. If I understand the question, if you had 3 employees, hypothetically, we've had a lot of people who have asked the question, well, what if I've gotten rid of 10? I need to bring, and I kept 3 because my business is doing a percentage of what it was doing before. Then, you could rehire them or other employees and to get back to your full-time equivalency. So, I think I would need to understand this question a little bit better. So, Mike, if you could reach out to me on Facebook Messenger or email, I'd like to discuss this a little more in depth with you, if possible. And Derek, are you seeing any other questions? I don't see any other questions.
Not currently.
Okay, perfect. So,
I got another question for you.
Yep.
Are expenses covered for the forgiveness?
Okay, so there's forgiveness on both loans. All right, and this will give me a second to talk about the connection of the two. So the EIDL loan, which was the first loan that came out from the SBA, that was a couple of weeks ago. That when they added the 10K advance, the understanding at this point, and it's changed since the beginning to where we are now, if you use that 10K advance for payroll costs, and other overhead expenses that I described earlier in the call, they are supposed to forgive that 10K. If you apply and get both loans, they are going to reduce the forgiveness that's available to you on the PPPL by the 10K that they already forgave you. So in other words, you're not going to get $10,000 for payroll costs over here, and then you're going to get a $10,000 forgiveness for payroll cost over here. And it looks like you further added my company needs supplies from non-essential stores. If the supplies are this is kind of a tough question to unpack, but if you have supplies that you need to buy for your business for resale, those would obviously not be covered under any forgiveness of the loan. If it's tied to rent, I would plan to use the money for rent, payroll costs, mortgage insurance, or utilities. The EIDL loan is a little less descriptive on what the 10K will be advanced for, but I do know that they also say that if somebody applies for the EIDL loan and they're denied, they will still get the $10,000 advance. They will not have to repay. So this is the 10K advance on the EIDL, which I've had a couple of talks about. I think it's kind of changing, and as we get more information, we'll share it. Which loan program is preferred for an S corp with the owner as the sole employee? So that's a good question. I think a lot of my advisement to my clients and others are contingent on their specific business situation. You know, some employers that are single member, single employee business, they can apply for the EIDL loan. That $10,000 would cover their pay and their expenses, and there would be no need to go down that route. If you are a business a single owner business with you as the only employee, I would, and you are really, really tight on money and you need to pay your bills, I would advise you to file for unemployment and start the process of the EIDL loan. Now, a week ago, I would have told you something different, but that's based on the information that I have available to me today. Meaning I cannot work currently, so I'm taking money. Also, I'm an LLC. Am I able to apply for the 10K? Yeah, the 10K. So the way the 10K works is when you fill out the EIDL application on the SBA.gov website, whether you're filling it out for the first time or you filled it out a couple of weeks ago before it had the ability to add the 10K advance button on the loan, you should go back to the website. The website has evolved in just 14 days to a very simple online entry process. Not even asking for paperwork at this point. Make sure when you're applying for it that you click the 10K advance button, and you should absolutely be able to get there. The goal for most people in this is to try to float their business to get to the other side of this and not add debt. That's my recommendation. So if that 10K is going to cover your business expenses and your payroll expenses, and they approve you for more than that, you could turn right around and give them the money back if that's what you choose. And that's what these two programs are designed for. Derek, do you see any other questions out there?
I do not. Any other questions?
Okay. Any other questions? Perfect. Well, we are going to post this live video on Facebook, and all the links and documents on that Facebook group. And looks like we just got one more in here. Oh, Tracy, I am sole proprietorship to register my business end of last. File tax. Well, Tracy, I don't. You probably would not, based on your situation, you would not want to. You don't have payroll records to apply currently for the PPPL loan. Now, that doesn't mean between now and Friday that they don't give some guidance on how to calculate your payroll in a business like yours that would make that loan more attractive. When you apply for the EIDL loan and you pick your, you have already converted your business to a C Corp, I would probably select that as the option. They're probably going to ask for proof of the change. They're probably, again, I'm just assuming here, they're probably going to pull your business records. They're going to look at any tax adjustments you've made, and they may request further information if you have not filed taxes as a different entity. All right, so like I said, we're gonna post all of this information out on the Facebook group. Again, I want to thank Derek for all the hard work you've done helping get the group up and going, and with the video chat today. We'll probably schedule another one of these as more information comes out, and we're here to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your day to join us. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll have this posted to the group shortly if you have any additional questions. Thank you all.